Hi, Mike Matchett with Small World Big Data, and I'm really thrilled to be here today talking about the latest and greatest in object storage. It's becoming the storage of the future, the storage of today, because everything's going to the cloud, and object storage is basically what powers the cloud. We've got MinIO here today. The storage that's going to power everybody's data center, cloud, multi-cloud. We're going to get into this. I've got Garima Kapoor here today. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about a little bit how you got involved first in object storage. Why was object storage a place where you wanted to get involved with?
So when we started the company back in 2014, and we were exploring what we need to do next from the startup idea. And as we were exploring, you always want to pick a problem that is only going to grow exponentially. And no matter what ideas we came to, data was a problem that we thought that we can work on even next 10, 20 years, and it is still going to be relevant. And when it comes to data, there are two ways to approach it. One is from the compute side, and another one is from the storage side. Storage side is where data holds gravity, and that is where if you control the data, if you have, then you can build anything on top of it to derive value out of it. So as our strategy, we thought that, we need to come from the storage side. That is the right approach for us. And just around that time, AWS was convincing the world that object storage is the right technology to put all your data, massive unstructured data, semi-structured data at scale. And we just wanted to be AWS S3 for rest of the world. So that's how we started with MinIO, and from then till now, we've been just very focused on just being, object storage, high performance object storage for rest of the world. Yeah.
All right, you've got some amazing statistics for the number of downloads a day that people are making and pulling from there. I'll let you tell what those are, but it just points out to me that open source is taking over here. This is just a great example. You guys are a great example of how to really do an open source and an open source business the right way.
Yeah, I think cloud is primarily built on open source. I think there is no denying of the fact here. If you see Amazon, if you see Google, Azure, it is primarily built on open source technologies. And from our standpoint, we wanted to come from application side of things, and they are always open source first. So it was a very conscious decision that we made. And open source is a way to build high quality products overall and get attraction early on and get feedback also early on. So that's the reason why we chose open source as a means to release our technology under. And it has been working great for us so far. And, it's a testament that we are at 1.3 million Docker downloads a day, and growing exponentially in that trajectory day over day basis. And we feel that we are going to continue on this path. We are committed to being open source. We are committed to being 100% open source. And that's what we are going to stick to.
All right, so 1.3 million a day,
yes.
Right? That's going to rack up to some big numbers here. All right, let's look at this. Why a million a day? I mean, we talked a little bit about object storage being popular. Everyone knows about Amazon S3. Everyone knows object storage is a thing. But a million a day, I mean, 1.3, that just really says, there's something going on here that people need to pay attention to, underlying and driving that. What do you see really driving that adoption of object storage?
So I think multiple things have happened. Firstly, industry has accepted that object storage is the right technology in terms of standardizing for offering, it as a service for their internal customers as well as external customers for data at scale. So if you see OLAP applications, database applications, AI/ML applications, they are naturally just object storage first. Snowflake is a great example. Databricks is a great example. All these applications are object storage first applications, unlike the traditional enterprise applications. So I think that has led to a lot of the adoption. And as these applications get built in an enterprise, they naturally want an S3 object storage underneath. And that's where the simplicity and ease which you can deploy MinIO really comes in handy, because we get to be deployed as part of the stack from day one. And once you're part of the stack, it's very hard to, or nobody wants to change the stack once it matures and takes it into production. So I think that is where the real growth is coming from MinIO. We have around like 20,000 people on our Slack. actively hacking on the product day in and out basis, and also giving us feedback continuously in terms of what we need to do improvement from, whether it is from documentation, whether it is from product feature functionality and whatnot. So I think it is application first approach, it is developer first approach. They are the ones who are building the products, and these are not hobbyists, right? These are architects who are actually building the product, taking it into production, unlike what you would have seen with the other open source projects overall. So these are real people who are doing real things.
Yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
clearly a cloud perspective storage system, right? And when we look in something like Amazon, not to pick on them too much, but they are known for S3, you find an awful lot of MinIO still, or even
Yes.
growing. Like, how did this come about that if I'm looking at what goes on in AWS, I'm going to see their cloud storage service, but a lot of MinIO, maybe even more, and growing
Yes.
every day. How does that
Yes.
happen?
Yes. So, we track the usage of MinIO across our deployments, and AWS is the #1 place in which MinIO gets deployed. And I think the main reason why MinIO gets deployed is, again, because we get bundled as part of application stack very early on. So as these applications mature and wherever they need to be deployed and AWS is, the #1 player in the cloud. So when applications get deployed within AWS itself, MinIO just gets deployed as a bundled stack as part of that overall implementation. And that's the reason why customers are choosing us. Secondly, for large scale customers who are built inside AWS, they want to make sure that they have end-to-end control when it comes to access, when it comes to data governance and compliance. And that is where, again, they are standardizing on MinIO to have the complete control. And them to have complete control in turn to make sure that there are no security breaches from data standpoint. So that is another reason why large scale customers are deploying us within AWS.
All right, and I'm sure there's some cost concerns that people can do some tuning with in there. But what I really want to ask you about then is, obviously, if I'm a multi-cloud client, and a lot of companies are becoming multi-cloud, whether they want to or not, this is just a fact of the future. Obviously, if you're using a particular service provider's storage service, you're limited, and you've got some, I won't say lock-in, but you've got some limitations there. It would seem like MinIO is going to be a very popular solution for people trying to stitch together their entire corporate landscape of computing locations.
For sure. All these clouds are inherently incompatible when it comes to storage. Google has its own API, Azure has its own API, AWS, of course, is the market leader. And that's the reason why applications overall are standardizing on S3 API. So when customers deploy MinIO, we are software defined, open source. So you can just download our binary and deploy it in any environment. What this enables is that, firstly, customers don't have to change a single line of code as they move between the clouds, whether it is Azure, Google, or AWS. Secondly, it enables them through the replication feature. It makes sure that the data is available across all these clouds. The same data that is written in AWS is available in Google Cloud, is available in IBM, is available in Azure for applications to consume and access data. So even from business continuity perspective, in DR scenarios, if one cloud is down, your business is not impacted. You can just continue with using your applications on top of MinIO, and you're not impacted in any way.
All right, so let's talk about this active replication as an inherent feature of my storage system, in my object storage system, which is the foundation for a lot of applications and all cloud native applications today. That's what I can do now with that.
Yes, and the good thing is that now you don't need to be limited to 2 sites. We support more than 4 sites and so on across for active replication. So you can make your data available across different data centers, across different infrastructures if you want to. And that is a very important requirement for certain customers, like I was mentioning earlier, customers coming from telcos, customers coming from trading space particularly. So for them, it is important that the business continues to run as it is running, even if one infrastructure is down or not.
No, this is a big thing. I don't think people have quite digested this, that we can go get MinIO and get active replication across all of our locations we're running this. It really makes my multi-cloud architecture look like an object store rather than object storage
Yes,
in different places, right? So now I've just got this
exactly.
object store service that I can run, which is pretty cool. But does that make it more complex? How is this a hard thing then to juggle and manage for people to take these packages and get them running in that way?
It it does not. Our goal has always been simplicity first, and whatever we can do to enable simplicity, we will do to make sure we enhance that capability. So, we've invested in MinIO console, which is operator console. So through that, you can enable now replication, just a click of a button. It's extremely easy to enable it. Of course, there are certain underlying requirements that we do ask customers to make sure, bandwidth is there between different sites so that data is available at the places where you need it to be. But outside of the best practices, it's extremely simple to enable the replication across active replication just through a console. You can enable it.
All right. I've also heard that object storage is become a higher performance, or is
Yes.
expected to deliver higher performance as
Yes.
people use it for more and more today. What do you see as critical for delivering performance with object storage?
So when we started, it was always like, cheap and deep storage, object storage, that's the place where you need
Yeah.
to be. And as the applications, high performance applications are evolving and standardizing on object storage, there is a requirement for object storage to deliver that performance. I think one thing that enables MinIO to deliver high performance is because of the simplicity of stack. It is a very modular design. We don't do anything else except for object storage. So that enables us to optimize MinIO for any underlying hardware and take full advantage of the NICs, of the drives that you give us. So even if you see, we publish our benchmarks very openly for other competitors to take a look at it and publish it, and also give steps in terms of replicating it. So we are the highest performance object storage out there. We ran benchmarks on AWS 32 node setup, which anyone can easily go and replicate on. So I think the ease and the simplicity and the modular design is what enables high performance.
All right, so you've got ease of use, focus on object storage, simplicity in mind all the time. You're only going to do object storage.
Yes.
You've got a ton of downloads. Do you know how many downloads total you've gotten to?
We are inching towards our billion Docker downloads cumulative, and we are very excited about this milestone. It is unheard in the storage industry overall, because usually, whether it is GitHub stars, whether they are downloads, they're always reserved for data stores, which are databases, and not necessarily for the storage component of it. So because MinIO changed the way of how object storage gets deployed, we are getting pulled into these very high numbers. So we are very excited about reaching that milestone.
1 billion served, and we're not even going to go into that deeper, but that's great. There's a lot of analogies there we can make, but a billion is a lot. A billion downloads is a lot. It's a lot of business opportunity as well for folks.
Yes.
A lot of experience. You said you had 20,000 people hammering on it. Just some big numbers. People should really take a look at this. And I think with active replication, it becomes really relevant for the people watching this show because you can now use it for lots of feature sets that you might otherwise be paying a lot of money for from other vendors at a higher level. So take a look at that.
For sure.
If someone is interested in looking this and they're not that familiar with MinIO, what would you have them go look at? You probably have a website and obviously the free downloads that people can go do, but what else you got?
Yeah, so you can visit our website. It's min.https min.io. That's a great place to start to get introduced. We also have a YouTube channel. If you're just getting started, you want to learn what object storage is and understand how to deploy it, just take baby steps. We have a training channel on YouTube as well that you can go take a look at it. That's a great place to get started and get familiar. And I always tell that, the best way to learn is just download it and get started, make mistakes, and hang out with us on Slack channel. We are there to help you. So that's the most ideal way to get started. We do have a hosted version, which is play.min.io. So anyone who just wants to even play with console, just learn, upload an object, download an object. It's very simple to interact with. So you will get all the capability there. Again, it's a play account. You can play with it. We have seen a lot of people actually put their real data, and we have to go back and tell them that it is public, so don't do that, please. But yeah, it's a great place to, again, just experiment with the product overall.
Okay, play.min.io. I'm all
Yes.
over that just as soon as we hang up here. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here today and explaining this to us.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here and speaking with you again.
All right, take care, guys.